Okay, let's give our thoughts and our prayers out to nobody, because that would be completely fucking pointless, utterly fucking pointless.
Madam President, I have just been informed that the alleged shooter at the Republican baseball practice this morning is someone who apparently volunteered on my presidential campaign.
Bernie supporters shoot 4 Americans, but the Trump police rescues them, was a title I saw in Indifferent. It's different. I changed it up. Actually, I made it better. 1996, James Thomas Hodgkinson, without the E. James Thomas, in 1996, Hodgkinson of Belleville, Illinois, had a stepdaughter that him and his wife were taken care of, who allegedly killed herself. 17-year-old Wanda Ashley Stock killed herself, allegedly, by dousing herself with gasoline and then setting herself on fire inside of her car on a rural road south of Belleville. The Hodgkinsons spoke to the News Democrat at the time, talking about how they didn't even know what triggered a very practical, level-headed girl to kill herself. And they kept talking some more about a previous suicide attempt before Wanda Ashley Stock came to live with them. So they're like, oh my gosh, we don't know what happened. She just lost her fucking mind. She lost her fucking mind, didn't she? She did have that previous suicide attempt. Maybe it's just she's crazy and depressed. And we were oppressive, and that made it worse. You know, we exacerbated it, and we might be responsible. Apparently, her boyfriend had broken up with her hours before she completed her suicide. Wanda Ashley Stock was a senior at Belleville East High School at the time. She had been living with the Hodgkinsons a few months. Wanda Ashley Stock, who would kill themselves the way that she allegedly did. Wanda Ashley Stock doused herself with gasoline and then lit herself on fire. Like a Buddhist fucking monk, all fucking concentrated, right? Lit herself on fire like a protest in the Vietnam War, so disgusted with the devastation of her entire fucking nation, with the patience and confidence, it just lets her burn and fall. And then it was in a car in a rural road. That's what you would do if you were killing somebody, right? Maybe shoot her and then leave her in the fucking car? Dig her up. I want to see her skull or see if there's a gunshot wound in those bones. That's what you would do if you would shoot somebody. I don't know, I watched fucking Godfather, right? Grab the cannolis, leave the gun, grab the cannoli. We took him out in the middle of nowhere, shot him. Then they didn't burn the car, but if they did, right, just burn it and walk away. Living with James Thomas Hodgkinson and his wife, what's her name? And she had been a ward of the state, Wanda Ashley Stock. So Wanda Ashley Stock was a ward of the state since 1984, and then her biological parents terminated their parental rights in 1989. She was in the fucking orphanage alone by herself, and then, you know, made sure her parents came by and said, no, absolutely not. We don't want her to be our kid whatsoever. This is, 7 years before she'll die. So she's 10 years old. She's 10 years old. Her parents said, fuck you, we don't give a fuck about your life. And then 5 years, she was 5 years old when she was a part of the, orphanage, whatever they call that system. I don't know, not foster. She was at an Ashley Stock left a note in her room instructing her inheritance to be given to a close friend. On the morning of June 14th, 2017, during Donald Trump's 71st birthday, right, there was a crazed gunman in California, Jimmy Lamb, who shot 3 of his co-workers, and he killed them. And then he shot and killed himself. In March, Jimmy Lamb, he had filed a grievance with the local Teamsters union, complaining about having to work too much overtime. I don't know if that's related, but it could be a possible motive. Benson Louie, 50 years old, Wayne Chan, 53, and Michael Lafetti, 46. R.I.P. Benson Louie, Wayne Chan, and Michael Lafetti.
As you all know, shortly after 7 a.m. this morning, a gunman opened fire on members of Congress and their staffs as they were practicing for tomorrow's annual charity baseball game.
They're gruesome death, like super fucked up. That's, if you're going to kill yourself, why not go the easy route? Why not just, let the gas fumes in the fucking garage, just overdose, just a nice, peaceful sort of Kevorkian, right? Get Kevorkian to come over. Even jumping off a fucking cliff, right? It would be probably exhilarating up until the moment when you splatter all over the place, but then that's it, right? So it'll hurt for a second. A gunshot wound would hurt for a second, but to light yourself on fire, I swear, that's like one of the worst ways drowning is a pretty bad way to be crushed from the bottom up, and to be burned to death. Fucking fire all the way up into the point of no consciousness, to the point of your life is no more. Woo! I think someone does that, it's time to get out of Vietnam.
What the fuck is going on? Where is this guy?
To Michael Lafetti, Wayne Chan, Benson Louie, R.I.P. to their family. It sucks you lost a family member. And this is a major difference between what happened in San Francisco versus what happened in Virginia, the West Coast versus the East Coast, in California versus Virginia. You had the police eventually identified the gunman as 38-year-old Jimmy Lamb, and he fatally shot himself in the head as police officers closed in. So 4 people overall wind up dying, 3 innocents. What did they do? What did Benson Louie, Wayne Chan, and Michael Lafetti do? Both the UPS shooting in San Francisco and the Capitol baseball shootings in Alexandria, Virginia, happened on the morning of June 14th, 2017, with the California shooting happening several the attacks on Congress happened first. So that shooter was shooting at the congressman before the UPS, UPS guy went postal and killed 3 of his co-workers. Now, both were crazed gunmen. They were frustrated. They were disgruntled. So just, again, California, that shooting happened after Virginia. Virginia happened first, and then California happened on the same day in the morning, but the David Duke got shot without the baggage. The David Duke, the clean version of David Duke, he got shot earlier, and then the 3 people got shot and killed in San Francisco. foster assistant for 13 years at the time of her suicide and had tried to take her life once before, according to her state records. It said that they were raising their grandniece, Kathy, at the time. I don't know what they mean by at the time, because the suicide happened October 23rd, 1996. But in 2002, they were raising their grandniece, Kathy. And then what happened, the domestic assault incident had happened between the fucking guy, Hodgkinson, Kathy, and two of her friends. So the grandniece that they had adopted, there was some sort of incident that ended with him discharging a weapon. So he shoots a weapon for some reason. I'm not for sure why. But there is some fucking incident that happened in 2006, or possibly two incidents that happened in 2006.
Do we know where he's at? Do we know where he's at?
He's behind home plate. You call 911?
I assume people have been calling 911 already.
Better be.
These are two good comparisons. These people are complicated people, just to paint them up as, one thing. He's a 66-year-old man. He was born in 1950, so he actually saw what the 50s looked like. He'd been 9 years old in 59, so he would have seen the Leave It to Beaver 50s. Who's this man? The Hodgkinsons. Dumb name. Where's the E? Hodgkinson. I think the E would make it a lot better. It would be, you're Hodgkinson. Yeah, we don't put the E in it. Well, why not? Well, we don't really like it. The iambic pentameter's off. So, yeah, the Teamsters, they're a good union, and the Employee Free Choice Act.
Steve Scalise and several other Republican lawmakers were shot by a deranged leftist gunman this morning. The shooter asked if the representatives were Democrats or Republicans before opening fire. Representative Mark Walker said the gunman, quote, was there to kill as many Republican members as possible.
And you got a bunch of working class nobodies who are actually killed, their lives have ended. That's all they're ever going to be. That's their final chapter. That's literally the nail in the coffin for them. And on the other side, you got the privileged and the powerful. At least they're perceived as being powerful. They don't have the power to stand up to fucking Trump over war. They don't say, hey, Donald, you're supposed to tell us what you're doing. And to assert their constitutional duty to be the branch that actually declares the wars, the many, endless, infinite wars we're stuck in now as the Constitution requires of them, but nonetheless, the media assumes that they're powerful, not understanding that they're just lawmakers. Only the leadership matters. The rest are straight down the party line sheep. Is your congressman in the leadership? Well, I guess he don't matter.
Bernie Sanders voter, he said Trump should be locked up for treason. He was obsessed with conspiracy theories about Russia interfering in the election. He loved The Daily Show, John Oliver, and Rachel Maddow. He literally said, quote, one of my favourite TV shows is The Rachel Maddow Show on MSNBC.
An polished version of David Duke, that Scalise guy. I don't even know who he is. He's the House Majority Whip, so apparently the third most powerful Republican in the House of Representatives. You got Paul Ryan, some number 2 asshole, and then number 3 Scalise. He bragged one time of being David Duke without the baggage, right? Which means what? What do you think that means? David Duke, a KKK, fucking, what is he, Grand Wizard, like the main fucking white supremacist, the fucking face of white supremacy in America. You're allowed to be a white supremacist, and David Duke raised his hand for that position. So David Duke, without the baggage. So he's part of the Klan without being part of the Klan. He's secretly a part of the Klan. The Klan is in his heart, but He doesn't have to attend the meetings because he is just, maybe he's in a secret clan. He's never been called out. They don't know when.
So it was a terrorist attack targeting conservatives carried out by a deranged anti-Trump, Russian collusion-obsessed leftist. Yeah, gonna be hard for the mainstream media to spin that one, isn't it?
Attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. All for one, one for all. United we stand. Divided we fall. So this is what the media is going to do. It's, they're fucking shaken up. Our Congress has just got shaken up right now, and rightfully so. They don't seem to be able to empathize with anybody else in this goddamned world, so they are rightfully shaken up. And the media is going to tell us how big of a hero Mr. David Duke, the clean version of David Duke, is once he recovers, or how great of a man he was in his life if he doesn't. And the media will parrot all their fucking horse shit, just like the ditto-heading cunts they all are. So clearly some American lives are worth more than others. Or maybe not. Let's compare the two stories in San Francisco.
Oh, but this guy on CNN says the shooter was just tired, and Wolf Blitzer said nothing to challenge it.
He wasn't evil, that he was, I guess, tired of some of the politics that are going on.
That's what we just heard.
3 million Americans who's going to be kicked off of health care. No more fucking health care for you, 23 million Americans. The government, the Republicans don't give a fuck about your life. Health is life. So if they're against your health care, they're going to cut you off of fucking health care. What? The United States don't have the fucking money. We're in like 40 wars. I think it's fucking 40 wars. We have the 33 shadow wars, 20 to 33. That's the fucking range, 20 to 33 shadow wars. And then the 7 that we had been under Obama, right? Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, kind of Iran, Yemen, I guess Somalia and Sudan. Maybe those are 2 African countries that they counted in those shadow wars, but I didn't think they were shadow wars. We all know about them. And then Libya, right? We're doing a fucking good bang-up job there in Libya. We basically got, what did we do? Oh, yeah, the Manhattan fucking terrorist.
Authorities are continuing to investigate the crime.
That's the major difference between the Capitol baseball shootings in Alexandria, Virginia, by James Thomas Hodgkinson. Fucking Hodgkinson. Fucking James Thomas. What the fuck did you do, man? And the UPS shooting is that 4 people actually died in the San Francisco one. In the Alexandria one, only the goddamn shooter fucking died. Right? And rightfully so.
And the assailant has now died from his injuries.
Yeah. By, so far, now, June 15th, 2017, it's 21:33, so that's military time, right? So you should just know what I mean when I say 21:33. But in regular people time, that's, what, 9:33? He's still alive. Nobody's died except for the shooter. So that means he didn't shoot anybody. What a horrible shot, right? What the hell? He's a liberal.
The FBI is leading the investigation and will continue to provide updates as new information becomes available.
Steve Scalise. I mean, there was like, 5 that were injured, but everybody's like worried about Steve Scalise. He's the 3rd most powerful, fascist, Republican, warmongering fascist in the Congress. And, Mr. David Duke without the baggage. But he probably isn't dying because of his stellar health care that we're paying for. We pay for his fucking health care. All the fucking Congress people, they get universal fucking health care. We pay for Israel's whatever, right, that we give them all that foreign aid, probably their health care and their military and everybody else's military, and 900 military bases and drone strikes upon civilians and 23 million Americans, right? That is way more than 4.
Congressman Steve Scalise, a member of House leadership.
Now, Steve Scalise, he was one man who has not died. 4 people had died, 3 innocent civilians. So 3 innocent civilians is a worse tragedy than 0. 3 is worse than 0. And 23 fucking million is worse than 3. And then how many 10,000 civilians have been killed in Yemen since their civil war began in 2015?
Was shot and badly wounded and is now in stable condition at the hospital, along with two very courageous Capitol police officers.
UPS guys are just working a fucking job. I mean, that's it. They're not government officials, right? They're not in charge of the military. He's just a fucking guy doing some wage slaver work, get some fucking weekly paycheck so he can pay his rent and keep doing his, American thing. So when you look at it, they don't vote to fund the wars. That's murdering thousands. 10,000 in Yemen so far. 16,000 total have been killed in the civil war. We're intervening in a civil war on Saudi Arabia's side because they're our friends. Who gives a fuck who's right or wrong? And why did those 10,000? 10,000 is more than 3. Did Yemen attack us? Did we declare war on them? Are you afraid of Yemen attacking us? Where do you get your information? Where do you get that notion from? You make shit up.
At least 2 others were also wounded. Many lives would have been lost if not for the heroic actions of the 2 Capitol police officers who took down the gunman despite sustaining gunshot wounds during a very, very brutal assault.
They didn't attack us. They didn't. We're bombing them. So, I don't know the specific details. There's like 5 or 6 splinter groups, right? You have to figure out the fucking storyline, who's versus who's, what's going on. But we picked a side. There's a cholera epidemic going on in Yemen. There's a huge drought that's, all over fucking Africa. Basically, a lot of fucking people don't have running water. Running water would save a lot of this. Instead of going over there just killing everybody, let's work on running water. Can we work on getting some running water out in the desert? Cholera epidemic, starvation, 10,000 civilians have been killed because of the United States, because of our government. We give $120 billion Saudi Arabian deals. We called Qatar a terrorist group, and now we just did a $12 billion Qatar deal. So they're making our F-15s now. Can they keep 1 or 2? I mean, Qatar.
I spoke with Steve's wife, Jennifer, and I pledged to her our full and absolute support. Anything she needs, we're with her and with the entire Scalise family.
What our government's doing? Bombing Yemen with airstrikes, helping our buddy Saudi Arabia with our, that's the 9/11 terrorist creator. It's our right-wing totalitarian terrorist partner in the Middle East. I guess we're on the side of the terrorists now. Right. We're supposed to, anybody that harbored the terrorist, Al-Qaeda, and any of their associates, that's the war on terror. Read the authorization to use military force, the AUMF.
Everyone on that field is a public servant. Our courageous police, our congressional aides, who work so tirelessly behind the scenes with enormous devotion, and our dedicated members of Congress who represent our people. We may have our differences, but we do well in times like these to remember that everyone who serves in our nation's capital is here because, above all, they love our country.
So what happened June 14, 2017, Alexandria, Virginia, James Thomas Hodgkinson of Belleville, Illinois, opened fire on several Republican members of Congress and their staffers who are practicing for the congressional baseball game, which happened today. So congratulations. Lots of security, I'm sure.
We can all agree that we are blessed to be Americans, that our children deserve to grow up in a nation of safety and peace, and that we are strongest when we are unified and when we work together for the common good.
James Thomas Hodgkinson, who is from Illinois, right? So he's an Illinoisan from the land of Lincoln. Fucking Republicans. The first Republican was Abraham Lincoln. So the culture of Illinois is what created this fucking psychopath, James Thomas Hodgkinson.
Please take a moment today to cherish those you love and always remember those who serve and keep us safe. God bless them all. God bless you. And God bless America.
So they were practicing for the congressional baseball game. And they had it today, so that's good for the country, for the courage. I wonder who won. Why do we make Republicans fight against Democrats? What if we would have actually just, interspersed, right? Even in times of fucking tragedy, we're still going to be standoffish with one another. And I bet that was probably a fucking competitive-ass game, too. So I'd like to know who won, to be honest with you, so that's stupid. But they had lots of ticket sales, so they were able to raise money for whatever charity that they're doing this for. A 10-minute shootout had happened between James.
Melania and I are grateful for their heroism and praying for the swift recovery of all victims.
10-minute shootout had happened between James Thomas Hodgkinson and the officers from the Capitol Police and the Alexandria Police. Hodgkinson shot 5 people, including House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, Republican of, Louisiana, L.A., Louisiana. Of course, Louisiana would pop out a fucking Republican who loves David Duke. Oh, I'm David Duke, just without the baggage. And 2 Capitol Police officers assigned to protect him. One of the officers shot Hodgkinson, who later died from his wounds. So he's the only motherfucker that dies. Congratulations to the Capitol Police. They absolutely saved the fucking day, right? The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That is absolutely true. They said it would have slaughtered. They would have all died. They would have all died if the Capitol Police, the only 2 were there. 2.
I have also spoken with Chief Matthew Verderosa. He's doing a fantastic job.
He did a great job, actually. I mean, he did get shot, right? So they're not perfect. But apparently they shot him and killed him, and now he's dead. Attack on one of us is an attack on us all for one, one for all. United we stand and divided we fall. So we all agree, right, that stealing, rape, murder, and violence is wrong, right? I mean, let's agree on a bipartisan consensus, in the spirit of bipartisanship, that these 4 things these are like the worst evils. Murder takes the life away from somebody. Violence hurts the person. Rape has a, kind of an extra stink to it. And then you have stealing. So stealing, there was at one time, those are, 4 evils, okay? So can we agree on those 4? Can we agree on those 4? I know that there's exceptions to the rules, but like cold-blooded murder, cold-blooded rape, cold-blooded violence, cold-blooded stealing, that's wrong. Good. So now that we agree that murder is wrong, even if it's, in war, I mean, you can't murder anybody, right? The Geneva Conventions and the Nuremberg trials said you don't have to follow orders if they're unconstitutional and illegal orders. In fact, you are required to stand up against them. You are not required to do unlawful orders. Absolutely not. So, police on civilian killings, that's murder too. When the police kill, fucking innocent people, that's a murder. Then you have 23 million that are on health care right now, being thrown into the fucking river to fend for themselves, to drown in debt, or to go without much needed medical help. What do you want? You want to fucking get that heart surgery you need? Or do you want to live fucking poor for the rest of your life? Give us your house and we'll fix your heart.
Congressman Scalise is a friend and a very good friend. He's a patriot, and he's a fighter. He will recover from this assault. And Steve, I want you to know that you have the prayers not only of the entire city behind you, but of an entire nation and, frankly, the entire world. America is praying for you, and America is praying for all of the victims of this terrible shooting.
Hey, is that guy okay out there? The guy been shot. Is he okay? Is anybody talking to him?
Make just this about the background. There's a whole bunch of extra stuff about him, but I guess I do want to sort of pick out things too. There's background info about the dude. He's 66 years old. He was born in 1950. He becomes 18 in 1968. That's when MLK and RFK was shot. 68, that's when LBJ goes down. And that's a weird fucking lesson for the conservatives. If you shoot the liberal leaders, the American people, be so fucking scared they will reach out for a law and order man when it could have been the very same, kinds of right-wing fascist fucking people who had did that shit to begin with. So, the conservatives could conspire against the liberals. The right could conspire against the left very easily by, shooting MLK and then RFK and then getting Nixon.
Of the Capitol Police to express our sympathies for his wounded officers and to express my admiration for their courage. Our brave Capitol Police perform a challenging job with incredible skill, and their sacrifice makes democracy possible. We also commend the brave first responders from Alexandria Police Fire and Rescue who rushed to the scene.
His main thing was Bernie Sanders. He fucking loved Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was his fucking profile picture right in the back of his Facebook. And he didn't like Trump at all. Here he said, "I want to say, Mr. President, for being an asshole, you are truly the biggest asshole," 2 words, assholes, 2 words, "we have ever had in the Oval Office." Then he says that the GOP is racist and sexist, which they are. He also likes Rachel Maddow, which is Bill Maher. What? It said he was in Occupy. So he's in Occupy. He loves Bernie Sanders. He actually wanted Bernie Sanders to run as Green. I don't know who he voted for in the general election. That's, what the fuck. So he has a lot of likable things. Being Occupy is cool.
Talking about blood on the streets.
They've marched. They've bled. Yes, some of them have died. This is hard.
Kathy Griffin mock beheading Trump.
He got arrested for battery, discharging firearm recklessly. He did some other shit. Something about believing in the Russian collusion with Trump bullshit. And he liked The Daily Show. So Trevor Noah could have been a big influence on this man. He was in the group he liked the page Americans Against Fox News. There was anti-capitalist post. Apparently he was a mold tester. He hated Hillary Clinton. He was not with her. Hashtag not in all caps. So that means he's serious. So he hated Hillary.
New York Times sponsored theatre productions where Trump is assassinated. The media applauding the whole punch-a-Nazi movement. Almost exactly a year ago, crazed left-wing lunatic Michael Sanford tried to assassinate Donald Trump at a rally in Las Vegas after he grabbed an officer's gun, and the media barely even reported on it.
5 years later, I don't actually understand this timeline, but this sentence, 5 years later, he opened JTH Construction, which operated for nearly 20 years, according to his Facebook page. In 1994, JTH Construction became JTH Inspections, a home inspection and air quality testing service that he listed as closed in 2016. So that's the mold tester thing. a home inspection and air quality testing service. But it said he closed in 2016. I guess he didn't pay for his license. He didn't, and then he didn't. He did, but then he didn't.
Celebrities envisioning anti-Trump violence over and over again. It's time to take some responsibility. This is your fault. What do you think's going to happen when you relentlessly signal to deranged crazies that Trump and his administration are committing treason and are illegitimate?
The ex-mayor, he talked to him. It was like his best friend, the only friend that the shooter, this John Thomas fucking Winkle, what's his fucking name? Hodgkinson? I don't know. James Thomas. JT. Old JT Hodgkinson. JT Hodgkinson. All right, there it is. So an attack on one of us is an attack on us all. Ex-mayor was his best friend at the YMCA. So he's in Illinois. He goes to Washington, D.C. He's living out of his van. He was living out of it for 6 weeks, 6 months, I don't know. But he was living out of his van, and his van was like in the corner of the YMCA, which is so weird. There's a van at the corner of the YMCA, and then they're playing Capitol baseball. None of them had any security guards. And then the man would not exercise at the YMCA. It's where he would go to the sauna, and he would go to shower because he's living out of his van. So he would sit in the lobby all day, just sitting on his laptop, and staring, aimlessly, like a 1,000-yard stare out the window. And then apparently this congressional baseball thing happened, and he was fucking, a psycho. And I don't know if he planned for it. I don't know if he knew that, that he went to that YMCA specifically.
I am sickened by this despicable act, and let me be as clear as I can be. Violence of any kind is unacceptable in our society, and I condemn this action in the strongest possible terms.
And coincidentally, the day that he does this, I'm guessing that he had known or seen practice beforehand. The day that he does this, it was 2 security guards was there with Steve Scalise because he's Mr. Important, number 3. Without Scalise there, and therefore without the Capitol Police there, it would have been a massacre for everybody. And right before he goes to shoot them, they ask him, the guy asked somebody else, and good job, whoever the fuck this guy was, but he said, are those Democrats or Republicans? And the dude, a congressman, I think, said, they're Republicans. And he was like, all right, thank you. And he was like, all right, you're welcome. Good luck on whatever it is you needed that information for. Walks away. Then he hears gunshots. It happens for 10 minutes. 50 to 100 gunshots are being shot. His name is E-U-I-L-L-E. Yuli. I don't know, man. I'm going to say E-A. So E.A. is this ex-mayor of Alexandria, and he's best friend with this fucking terrorist, and he's best friends with him. They're watching TV, and they were saying some shit about Trump, and then he was like, sure do, I hate him too. And he remembered that he indicated that he agreed with us. Hodgkinson had asked E.A. up for potential jobs in the area when opportunities came his way. He was like, hey, why don't you, send those jobs my way, but Hodgkinson said he didn't have a bachelor's degree. So EA actually was about to get him a job, but basically he was too fucking stupid. So maybe that was his problem right there. He was stupid. He didn't understand what the fuck was going on in the world. He's 66. Basically, that's it.
Real change can only come about through nonviolent action, and anything else runs counter to our most deeply held American values.
Mayor also saw that he looked at his bag and it looked like everything he owned was in that bag. So, yeah, I mean, how this ex-mayor didn't know that he had to have known he was by himself or just homeless or definitely a loner. He said he talked to him and never saw any sort of, psychotic behavior out of him. even asked him to get a job, and he even tried to get a job for him. So he probably did it for you there, EA. So I think all this is about communication. He was trying to talk to somebody that he loves. That's 95%. This is William Glasser. People overdiagnose mental illness all the time. It's just easy just to be like, oh, he's crazy, fuck him. Instead of actually trying to put yourself in his shoes and being like, what, this fucking animal, this fucking beast, what made him snap? What made him just say, fuck it all, and just do it? And so I think that's to understand, if you really want to stop this shit from happening, you need to understand.
I know I speak for the entire country in saying that my hopes and prayers are that Representative Scalise, congressional staff, and the Capitol police officers who were wounded make a quick and full recovery. I also want to thank the Capitol Police for their heroic actions to prevent further harm. Thank you, Madam President.
I think he's more dynamic, okay? So if he is a Jill Stein supporter, I think we have to get ready for that, for all Jill Stein, Bernie Sanders supporters, that this asshole, and what the fuck? And then he's going to fucking taint Bernie Sanders and Jill Stein and the Greens and all the rest of us. But I think we can blame that he's from Illinois, right? He's from Belleville. What are they putting in the water in Belleville? He's 66. He maybe just literally is fucking crazy, People are complicated. People are complicated. I think it's easy just to say someone's crazy and then to act like you're fucking better than everybody. Then you don't have to talk about it. Yeah, he's crazy. He's not like any of us at all. Or maybe he's exactly like all of us, and we don't want to confront that. And instead of confronting that, we back off of it. So I think, we should look at the whole fucking guy. He's been on this planet for 6 decades. He was around when JFK and RFK got assassinated. He was there when Nixon got elected that same fucking year. So I guess having old ass man who loved an old ass Bernie Sanders with an unheard of passion. So he's the stalwart of stalwarts. But I think it was suicide by cop. I think he was depressed. He was sad. He was trying to, show off for somebody, maybe his Facebook friends. Did any of y'all like his post? He might have did it for you. It's a stupid, senseless tragedy, and we learned nothing from it. I see that they're the right's gonna come after the First Amendment, and then the left is gonna go after the Second Amendment. Let's keep all the amendments. I like my First, Second, Third, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth. I like all my fucking rights. Okay, quit coming after my rights. What the fuck? You're not giving us health care, and then you're gonna the fact that you would come after our rights. No, fuck you. Fuck you. If we're not hurting anybody else, it's not a crime. Remember what I said before? Violence, stealing, rape, murder. We agree those are wrong, right? I hope so. So, the Republican culture of Illinois, what the fuck? What the fuck, Illinois? Y'all are the land of Lincoln. You made the very first Republican. This is where he came out of, Illinois. You killed all those Illinois Native Americans. And you know who else came from Illinois? Chicago.
Yeah, he's behind the bunker. We have shots fired. Shot fired. Right now.
So it's probably the Republican culture in Illinois. Illinoising. He's probably, all those Illinoising fucking goddamn rednecks. Fucking why do people in Illinois have the Confederate flag? You were not a part of the South. You're just fucking racist, white supremacist shitheads. Montana? Where's all your black people at?
Stay down! Stay down! Stay down!
Barack Obama and Abraham Lincoln. They're both from Illinois. Republicans and Democrats. It's a two-party system. I blame them both.
Shoot it! Head on! Don't be a knife!
December 2002, the Hodgkinsons had assumed legal guardianship for their 12-year-old great-niece, Kathy Lynn Putnam. Kathy's biological parents' rights had been revoked, and she had been in foster care with the Hodgkinsons since she was 4 years old. Her name was eventually changed to Kathy Hodgkinson. However, in the couple's last annual report regarding the girl, they said she was returned to state custody on July 7th, 2006. Again, they lost their second. They got their great niece. They had her for 4 years, and then they lost her. Court documents does not say why the judge took that action. In a court document filed December 26, 2006, the Hodgkinsons wrote, "Since then, His Honor has seen fit to award guardianship of Kathy to..."
Get back, Brad. Wait, wait. Hold on. Okay, come on. Way up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today with a heavy heart. I rise today with a sense of responsibility and duty to the people who have elected me.
Shotgun was confiscated after a domestic fight between Hodgkinson, his daughter, and two of his daughter's friends. The charges were later dismissed. 2006. So he was charged with domestic violence, but the charges were dismissed.
A sense of duty to this country, a sense of duty to the Constitution of the United States of America. I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America for obstruction of justice. I do not do this for political purposes, Mr. Speaker. I do this because I believe in the great ideals that this country stands for.
They were dismissed. So anybody who's accused of domestic violence, you're going to take all their guns away? That's fucked up. I don't like it. He had other minor charges, including the DUI and resisting arrest charge that was dismissed in 1993.
Liberty and justice for all. The notion that we should have government of the people, by the people, for the people. I do it because, Mr. Speaker, there is a belief in this country that no one is above the law, and that includes the President of the United States of America. Mr. Speaker, our democracy is at risk.
For which he received court supervision. So he made a deal, right? Court supervision. He made a deal, made it right, did something, right? Dismissed. No fucking trial, no fucking bench, nothing. Dismissed. Walk out of here. That's the prosecutor, right? They must have thought they had nothing.
Mr. Speaker, this offense has occurred before our very eyes. It is perspicuous. It is easy to understand. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about a president who fired the FBI director who was investigating the president for his connections to Russian involvement in the president's election. Mr. Speaker, this is not about the president firing the FBI director because he was investigating someone else. It's because the FBI director was investigating the president himself. And after firing the director, he went on to let us know that he considered the investigation when he fired him. And then he tweeted language that would be intimidation or a warning, an admonition, very strong to say the very least. Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow this to go unchecked. The president is not above the law. it is time for the American people to weigh in. Mr. Speaker, the American people are a part of this democracy. This is a participatory democracy. The American people don't participate on election day only. The American people participate daily, and this is your day to act. This is your day. I'm speaking to the American people. It is time for you to act. It is time for you to let us know where you stand. I've seen a poll that indicates that a majority now of those who are being polled are for impeachment.